like it says, I promise. And now, we'll ask for the approval of the minutes.
I will.
You like the motion
Motion
to
to
approve
approve
both
it,
at the
yeah.
same time?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
I didn't see anything that was.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion by Stroman, second by Rathbun. Roll call.
Stroman,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Mondegard.
Yes.
Approve that 5-0. Anybody here in the public want to make some comments before we start this meeting? We're ready to go. All right. So we have ordinance 1844, changing of the council meeting action as applicable. So I'm just going to throw it out there that few people have mentioned that maybe we should start this a little earlier and get home a little earlier and not have a little layover between. So, I suppose if everybody wants to, we'll let everybody have a turn. Paul, why don't you tell us what you think, how you feel?
I'm all for earlier the better. I know that we were going to start haggling at around 5:30. I don't know if that's too early, but I figure, the earlier we start this, the earlier we can, especially on the longer meetings, if we've got a lot of stuff on the agenda. I'll probably speak for everybody that we don't want to be here till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, so, or most people, I guess. But that's where I would start. If we want to go from there, I'm all for it, but those are my thoughts.
Everyone here? Whatever works. That's so nice.
I would say I'm good with 5:36. That would work perfect, yeah.
5:36 would be wonderful, yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be wonderful. I'm good with either one.
So do we have a motion for 5:30 perhaps?
I'll move for 5:30.
Second. Look at that. A motion to start the meeting at 5:30.
Can I hug you right now?
Second by Galloway. All right. So now we need to
No,
motion,
roll call.
roll call for the, yes.
To designate, correct?
Yeah, to designate.
Okay, Galloway,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Mondegard,
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes 5-0. If we could have our clerk read the title.
Okay, an ordinance to amend Chapter 220, Council Section 220.01, meetings of the Sydney Municipal Code to change the time of the regular meetings of the City Council of the City of Sydney from 7 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month to 5:30 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month, to repeal such section as heretofore existing, and to provide for the effective date of this ordinance.
Fantastic, thank you. Do you have any motion to waive the 3 readings?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Radcliffe, that's the motion. Baumgart with the second. Roll call?
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Mondegard,
Yes.
Stroman,
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes. Fantastic. Motion to waive the 3 meetings passes 5-0.
Does there need to be public announcement for that, or would the next meeting be at 5:30, or does it have to be like
The
10
next
days?
meeting would be at 5:30, but we
Okay.
will get, it'll be published because it's an ordinance, so
yeah.
it'll be there, and I'm sure that it'll be put on the
Well,
website
I didn't
and all
know.
that stuff.
I didn't know if it
Media
needed to
will
be
help us out here.
two weeks, like a 2-week.
Yeah,
I'm away that till
Okay.
because
that's
we just never know how often we're going to be able to get it into the paper.
Gotcha.
With the way things fall.
I don't know how much, we want a whole lot of paper out, but we can put it on our website,
Mhm.
Facebook, everything else.
And our
We
friends
can
in-
post
Might
it
not be
too.
one paper between them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Forrest.
And Forrest is here, so if there's
It'll
not,
be in there tonight.
he'll have
That'll work.
All right, so now we need a motion to pass the ordinance.
I move.
Bondigar, motions,
Second.
second by Radcliffe. Roll call.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
Bondigar.
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. All right, now that passes 5-0, so the clerk would read the number.
Ordinance 1844.
Very nice. Motion to publish.
I move to publish.
Galloway moves to publish.
I'll second.
Bondigar, second. Roll call.
Bondigar.
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you in 2 weeks at 5:30.
I feel like we should pause and clap or dance around.
I ain't dancing.
I think that's the fastest meeting ordinance in the history of City Council. Throwing that out there. All right, so number 5, we have a presentation of a letter of support for our grant applications.
Well, good evening. I'm glad you guys made a decision to move it to 5:30. I'm sure we appreciate that. I'm here as Christy Warner with the Kimball County Transit. I also just wanted to point out that Carl Stander, my commissioner, is here in the audience as well. And we just wanted to come in. I know this is the first time I'm in front of you, but you've seen our vehicles running around Sydney quite a bit, I'm sure. They're hard to miss. But as we start to grow and see quite a bit of change in the area, we just wanted to make sure that we're good neighbors and talk to you guys about what our plans are with that growth and what that might look like here in Sydney. I did include a little PowerPoint presentation in your packet. I'm not the type to read it to you. I'm sure you guys looked it over already. But some of the few things, or not. Some of the things that are coming, as we all know, we've heard of Clean Harbors is doing a second incinerator. They're expecting an additional 200 employees plus family. So there's several people moving to town for that. We also have the military project. And we have started to see the new Dollar General, the Family Dollar. We're seeing quite a bit of growth in Kimball. And all of that flows over into Sydney and Potter and all the surrounding communities because Kimball can't hold all of that. And so that brings in the transportation. So we are seeing a need. We started at 7,000 rides in 2017. We are estimated to do about 30,000 rides this fiscal year. That is a significant increase in ridership. And so as we do that, we've purchased 6 additional vehicles to come and start routes. So we do the on-demand already. All 30,000 of rides are on demand at this point, but we are getting ready to start the routed service between Kimball, Sydney, Chapel, back and forth on I-80, well, Highway 30 to be honest, and then Kimball to Scottsbluff. And we did already start the Scottsbluff to DIA route. So those who call from Sydney, we generally feed them into our route that meets up in Kimball to take them down to DIA. And as you see that, we're going to be coming into Sydney 5 times a day on that route. So we leave Kimball at 6, 9, noon, 3, and 6. The 6 and 6 are to meet Clean Harbors and the new hospital's hours for employees. And the other ones during the daytime are the normal riders that are coming in, usually coming into Sydney to either shop or go to medical appointments, are the biggest reasons we see them come to town. But we wanted to make sure that we talked to you guys about that. And we've been working with Casey and David. They've been very helpful to discuss some of the options that we would like to maybe take advantage of in the future. So one of those pieces would be potentially, as the crowds grow and the ridership grows, to maybe have a park and ride here in Sydney. That's not something we're asking for tonight. We would just ask that, if that's something that we can talk about in the future. If it's a closed door, it's a closed door, but I think that Kimball can bring people and have them transfer onto the stagecoach and run around town versus us running around town behind your stagecoach. I think that makes more sense, right, to let your your vehicle go through the town instead of ours, and ours will bring them back and forth between the regional villages. As we did say, the Red Line did start in November, so that is already running. It's $75 to get to DIA one way, $75 back. We will go through almost anything besides a blizzard, maybe a blizzard. We brought Jeff back in the middle of the blizzard. So we actually do try to be very safe with our drivers, but occasionally, as you know, weather does catch us. So we hope that you guys will encourage the media and the just getting around to know that there is a bus that'll go to DIA. You know, at Sydney, we've gotten quite a few calls for DIA, whether sometimes it's the truck stops with the people have broken down, you know, and we're taking them to the airport or that type of thing. But we are seeing a huge increase, and we want to work with Casey because I know that Casey's doing a great job here with the Stagecoach. So we're going to work with him. As he takes on more ridership, we will absolutely hand that off to him. Makes no sense for us to drive here and, like I said, run around your area. So just a quick little presentation. I guess I wanted to ask if you guys had any questions from KCTS. If you know anybody that's ridden it, like it, don't like it.
Is the airport shuttle idea aimed at having the military workers that are going to be flying for 2 weeks and out for 2 weeks or whatever? Is that the idea there? Or?
Well, actually, it started because the Scottsbluff Airport was having, you know, some issues with the flights. And so if they cancel the flights, then we end up getting the phone calls to come up and pick them up, things like that. And so we actually had a couple of people out of Gearing call us and ask us if we would consider that. And so we did some research on and we have already been taking phone calls. On top of that, though, right, if the service is up and running, the way we expand or contract our service is by the size of the vehicles or the amount of times we go, right? So right now, it's a 10-passenger vehicle running back and forth. If indeed we see the military contractors coming in, and you've got, 40 going back and forth, that's a different type of vehicle, and we can keep the routes. So there is a way to address that if that does become a thing.
And how many trips are you making back and forth to Sydney a day currently?
Well, currently we're doing all on demand. So what happens is my 13 vehicles from Parter Chapel and Parter and Kimball, and they almost scurry like mice. Like they just go in every direction. But we are in Sydney in Cheyenne County every single day, multiple times a day. It isn't just one vehicle that's here. The reason you feel like you see them everywhere is because we've got them coming in from Chapel, we've got them coming in from Kimball to drop people off. We come and pick people up from Sydney and take them to Scottsbluff, Fort Collins, Loveland, and the Denver hospitals. And so we usually have multiple vehicles here in any given day.
So the $75 from Kimball to DIA, does that include Sydney to Kimball, or is that weird?
No, so the pricing on the routes, you can ride, we're going to have a day pass or a month pass. That's your options. So for $5 in a day, you can ride all of my extended routes. So you can go Chapel, Sydney, Kimball, up to Scottsbluff if you want. Eventually it'll go to Cheyenne. We're not there yet. But you can ride all of those all day long if you want, right? Or you can do for $50 a month, you'll have a pass that you can ride every single day, all day. What that really accommodates is we need to be more efficient with our dollars and our drivers and our vehicles, right? And so when you have 13 vehicles just kind of every day going in different directions, it makes more sense to put more bodies in a bus and take them one direction. So we need to have that cost be low enough that people want to get on the bus instead of having the one-on-one service with the on-demand. And so that's why for less than a tank of gas, you can ride the bus between Sydney and Scottsbluff and eventually Cheyenne all day. So that's where it's at for that. All right, so then my ask is, no money, I promise. We are asking that you would consider a couple things, a letter of support, just in the sense that you support us, having the routed services and connecting with the Stagecoach. That would be my first ask. My second ask is for you guys to consider letting me work with David and Casey and your emergency management services to come up with an MOU between the entities so that if there was any type of disaster or accident, we could help one another. I'll give you the example. In Scottsbluff, we had a vehicle hit our van. It was their fault, not ours. And we had a rider in a wheelchair out in the middle of the major intersection. And we were able to call Kurt up in Scottsbluff and say, can you please pick the rider and the driver up and take them to somewhere warm until we can send another vehicle up. So that would be an example of an accident. When it comes to natural disaster, as you know, I have a lot of drivers and a lot of vehicles, but if a tornado comes through Kimball, my drivers and my vehicles aren't going to be available, right? They're taking care of their own families, and so we'll need to have assistance from other transportation providers to come in and assist in that type of situation. We hope we never see it. We hope we do just be prepared and that's it. But as a courtesy, I would never assume that you would want to do that, so I'm here to ask if it would be all right to work with them on that. And the last thing is if you guys would consider a park and ride in Sydney at any time in your future, which obviously takes 100 more conversations, but is that door open?
Yeah, well, I know one thing I appreciate is just all the different entities in Sydney working together, because the goal is to keep people in Sydney and keep opportunities happening. So, to extend that out to the entire western Nebraska and all your services, I certainly have no issue with it. I think it's a great idea. As far as the park and ride, I'd absolutely love to donate Casey and David's services to helping you make that happen.
Well, and I think we've got, an ideal spot for a park and ride with our 13th in Illinois.
Yep, we'll have to see how that works out, but we do have
We've
that.
got an empty.
It's a great spot for
We
it.
have an empty public parking lot
Which
that's
gives ours-
currently not within a lot of businesses.
No.
So it's largely unused and I think would probably be readily available for something like
We
that.
discussed that one too.
Yes.
The camper's sitting there.
Well, the
Yeah.
camper's gone now. But
I think there's definitely some opportunities for that.
Perfect.
we just think this will make it much more efficient for both them and for us, rather than like Christy said, they're doing some of the same things we're doing. And if we can get this together and make it more efficient for both, on both ends, it would behoove us to do so.
Well, and we just know that the employers that Clean Harbors is looking for or the hospital's looking for, we don't have any houses today. And it takes at least a couple of years to build houses, right? And those people are going to overflow into the other communities, whether it's Potter, Sydney, Scottsbluff, they're going to be here. And so that transportation is going to be important, and having those park and rides are going to be a key piece to that. So.
So you have a letter drafted that we can sign?
I think he has.
You might have to vote.
Do we
probably
need to
on
vote
the-
for
Yeah.
support or support? Like,
I would, if there's no other discussion, I would move for a letter of support to the Kimball County Transit System in support of 5311 and 5311F grant applications, along with developing a MOU on use of parking space and other opportunities.
very thorough motion by Galloway.
I'll second that.
And Stroller with the second. Roll call?
Stroman,
Yes.
Galloway,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Bondegar.
Yes.
Motion to support passes 5-0.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. And if you ever have any questions or concerns, please feel free to give us a call. And we'll be happy to help Casey with anything that we can help him with. So thank you.
We appreciate you traveling over here to our late meeting.
Not a problem.
Better weather for a drive.
Today was a nice day to drive.
Well, they did have a bus.
That's true.
And Jeff did take advantage of this. He said it was a great deal.
Let me just tell you, gentlemen, we got into DIA, snow was falling, the flight to Scottsbluff was canceled, I was standing there with 2 nurses for the emergency room, and right in front of the door was Kimball Transit. Took us 7 hours, almost 7 hours, and they put those 2 young ladies in our Best Western and picked them up at 8 o'clock in the morning to take them to the hospital. Everybody was thrilled.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
Appreciate that.
Testimonial.
All right. Mr. Joe Talley.
Councilman, good evening. I'm here to talk to you about the Sky Manor water line again. We put it out the month of February, out for bid, published it in the paper, sent it directly to 12 contractors in the area. I know that 2 were local. Unfortunately, we only got 1 bid back for the amount of $198,000, which is $22,786.50 over the engineer's estimate. The contractor is Hennings Construction out of, I believe, Gehring. We have found that a lot of those upper prices on that bid have been because of a lot of the brass, the meter, the pressure reducing valve, the vault, I mean, all that, which unfortunately we don't have one to compare it to, so that's kind of where we stand. So I'm just kind of here asking you guys to move forward with this project with using the ARPA money, and just get some feedback from you guys.
So with the overage on the estimate, then that would still be covered by the ARPA funds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No other questions, Your
Well,
Honor?
12 bids and 1 response.
12, well, they were sent out directly to 12. Only 4 contractors reached out to MC Shaft to get the actual bidding material, and we only received 1 bid on it, so.
I really thought we were going to have at least 2 or 3 the way the process was going.
And I've talked to a lot of the vendors that sell these products, and they did have a couple other people reach out to them, but they just never returned them, so. That's where we stand on that.
It's not completely outrageous, but it is 22.
Right.
But as long as that's being covered by the funds
It will be.
and not the citizens' property tax.
It's a turn.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
as long as that's the case, I don't see a problem with it.
Better than 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody will do it now.
Yeah. It's a very important project, so I think we need to consider, even though it is $22,000 extra to get it done.
What other projects have these guys done?
I have not directly worked with them, but the engineer has on a lot of the infrastructure projects in Scottsbluff, Terrytown, Gehring.
Okay, so they've done other
Yeah, they do.
municipalities.
I guess they're one of the main construction companies that do the infrastructure up there.
Okay.
And there was a letter in the packet drafted from Michael in regards to giving his word on Hennings. So
And then this has a built-in contingency like any other project, or like if we run into pipes or other things that we didn't know were there?
yes, I believe so. Some of them will be add-ons, but I think there's in the bond and everything that should be in there.
Okay.
The bid bond, anyway.
They give you any time frame on when they can get it done by?
They're saying they can do it within 60 days as a start, but they haven't gave us a start date yet.
But the price would not change.
Right.
But then do we have dates built in once we do agree to a contract with them?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they have to meet deadlines
In a
and
certain
target
amount of
dates,
time, yeah.
Yep.
otherwise there's penalties and,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
And it'll be all overseen by the engineering company. They'll have a guy out here the whole time, so should be good.
I'll move to proceed with the Sky Road water line project, awarding the bid to Hennings Construction.
I'll second.
Motion by Galloway, second by Bondegaard. Roll call.
Galloway?
Yes.
Sherman?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Bondegard?
Yes.
Stroman?
Yes.
Motion
Perfect.
passes 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, Lane Kazire is going to tell us all about LD 874.
I don't know if I'll tell you all about that. I'll tell you what I have to do for it. Evening, Council. Lane Kazire, Finance Director. This is more of a housekeeping item than anything else. The LB 874 passed in 2017 maybe. It's been a few years. Yeah. And so essentially it says every year I have to give you guys a report of the TIF projects that are going on, and I have to update all the taxing entities of what TIF projects are within city limits. I have to do that by May 1st every year. I barely made it, but made it. So right now we have 8 total TIF projects. The Walmsley project, which is the post gas station and the dentist office up there, that's where that project was. That was for infrastructure. The Cabela's Venture project, which is 630 Illinois, also known as the old Alco building to most people, I believe. Prairie Winds development, that's the Captain Walter Reed, John Borm Avenue, that area over there. That one, obviously not as many houses there as you'd like to see, but there's some houses and a lot of empty lots if anybody wants to build any houses. East Old Post Road Weiser project, which is in the East Old Post Patel project, which is the Patel project is the Fairfield Inn over there. That was the infrastructure that all tied that in together. And then the Weiser project was one that never really took off. I guess it was on the other side of that road, and I don't know what the primary point of that was, I guess.
Which one, the Weezer?
Yeah, I don't know.
They had a potential development that never came to fruition.
Okay, that's kind of what it seemed like. So then the Reganis and Cabela's corporate project kind of go hand in hand too. Those are those lots right next to the new corporate building and then the new corporate building itself, and that was for the infrastructure there. And then there's the downtown project on the building that the city owns as well too, that redid all that building and the parking lots and all that stuff. So, and then one that I like to talk about is projects that were paid in full in the previous year was the Clausen Brothers project in the Woodbridge Court area, Woodbridge area, or that area, Alvarado Court, or whatever. That was paid off early. It was perfect. I don't know if you guys remember, I gave you a little presentation about that one when it was done about the houses, and that one paid off actually, I don't know, 6 or 7 months earlier than it was supposed to. So it was one that worked. And then we didn't approve any TIFs in the previous year. And then the last portion of this is the percentage of the city that is designated blighted and substandard. We just redid that blight study, and we are at 28.7%. And I think we can go up to 35%. So still a little more room to go there. So any questions? I know it's fun, riveting stuff.
One question, just to make sure I have this in my head right, but there's 2 of them that get paid off in 2023.
Correct. Yep.
So when that happens, then the taxes on all those properties will start going into the...
Start coming back to the taxing entities.
Some will
Yep.
go back to the city, some will go to the county.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that the Prairie Winds, there's actually 2 bonds on the Prairie Winds, so some of those will be done in 2023, and then others go until 2028, I believe. And so, but the ones that go till 2028 are the ones that happen later, like on John Borm, and so there's not a whole lot of ad valorem over there, but this one there will be some significant ad valorem that'll come back, and then the Cabela's Venture project, that one, obviously, there's a decent amount of property tax there that'll go back to taxing entities. I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't remember what I told you guys, but I think I figured there's about $45,000 extra from the Clausen Brothers project that will go back to the taxing entities, and I think it came out to like $15,000 total a year for the city portion of that. Don't quote me on that exactly, but...
By increased brass fittings.
Yeah, right? Almost got it paid for. No, I think it's a great example of, what can happen when you have TIF projects that are managed properly. And, as we stated, you got one that was paid off last year, 2 getting paid off this year, a couple more next year, and the others within quick reach as well. So all of those are going to present additional tax dollars coming to the community on projects that might not have otherwise been done without the use of TIF. So just a great demonstration of what can be accomplished long-term with that as a tool.
And since I've been here, we've actually, the 2 TIFs have paid off, and both of them paid off early.
Yeah.
so, since I've been here. So
Yep.
some of these are not as fruitful and didn't work like they were supposed to, but some of them did. So
Typically, we end up with more than what we started, so.
So I don't know, is there action that has to be taken on this or not? I don't remember that there was. Okay, it's just informative. Just have to say I did it, so.
Just segue right into your budget report.
I can do that. I'm right here.
Go down, sit down and come back.
So, on to the budget reports. I know this is what everybody showed up for, so. Property tax, again, I'll start with the general fund, and then I don't know if you guys looked or noticed, but I added some more information here to the back that I'll get to that. Property tax, we're a little bit lower than we typically are right now. I just assume everybody's waiting until May to pay their property tax this year, which is fine. That's how I do it too. So, the sales and occupation tax right now, we're 46%, 41% of the year. So, right now, so far so good. In that, fees for service, we are pretty much right in line where we typically are, largely building permits, and I anticipate a couple other big building permits coming in this year too. So the hospital project will be a very large one. So state, federal, and county. Obviously, it looks like we're at 6%, but we did budget quite a bit for the grant, which one of them we did receive, so that we had budgeted for. So start to see that number tick up a little bit there. Franchise and admin fees, we have recorded franchise fees after the audit was done, so we're right on schedule with other fiscal years there. And then in the others, I did want to make a note, the largest portion of that others category is the rent from UST, so I would not anticipate reaching our budgeted revenues in that category this year. Obviously, they're vacated the building, so just want to make that note. And then on the second page here, I included revenues and expenditures in the overall budgets of all the departments as a whole. I thought you guys could go and read the financial statements, or I could just break it down here for you. And so with the general fund, right now, obviously property tax, you see that one's a little bit lower than ever. We're still overall in the positive $145,000. The street department right now is at 41% of the year. They've only spent 23% of their budget so far and recorded 35% of their revenues. Motor vehicle sales tax was down a little bit last month because the state had an error that they have to correct, so I would anticipate that being corrected. Electric fund is up $394,916 on the year and received right at 41% of their budgeted revenues and only expended 20 of their budgeted expenses so far. Water, you look at water, you see that they're down $75,275 this year, which is pretty typical for the winter months. Nobody's watering their grass in the winter, right? So you see that go down. But just for reference, last year at this time, they were $119,247 in the hole. So I see the $75,000 in the red, but I still look at that as a positive because we are better. And if you do look at the funds or whatever, if you look at the financial statements and you see that these numbers don't quite add up, there's the water debt assessment that comes in on the revenues that has to be subtracted out because that money goes to pay off a bond, does not go to pay off, or doesn't go to the water department. So that money has to go elsewhere and be subtracted out. Sewer, much like the water department, has the same thing with the sewer debt assessment, so you have to take that out to get the true picture. And again, I know the sewer department looks $36,000 in the hole right now. But I wanted to point out, let's see, where was I at here? Okay, last year the sewer charges, I know we raised rates or whatever, so we would expect that to be fixed. Last year, at this point in time, they were in the hole $178,554. And they're only in the hole $36,000 this year. In the summertime, commercial rates go based off of monthly water usage, and so I'd anticipate those to uptick just a little bit in the summertime for charges. And then their sewer service charges last year at this point were $428,000, and this year we're at $483,000. So that rate increase is starting to work a little bit. And then so far the landfill this year is up $82,782. They've received 43% of their budgeted revenues and only expended 39% of their budget. I know they have had a hard time keeping staff, but they are fully staffed now, I believe. So for the first time, maybe since I've been here, they've been fully staffed. So that'll help. Their overtime budget is pretty shot, but they were down to at one point in time, I think, 4 guys plus Dean. So it has been a tough go for those guys this year, but they never skipped my trash, so. Any questions? That's a lot of information, so.
You had me at hello.
I guess the report was so thorough.
No questions, huh? Bert, nothing? Nothing?
I even looked through the whole thing. I wanted to find something.
Nothing. I tried.
If Bert doesn't say anything, you're done. You're good.
Well, I'll just,
Well, thank you very much, Liam.
okay, thank you.
Oh, I guess we have to move. We have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Radcliffe with the motion and Galloway with the second. Roll call, please.
Sherman.
Yes.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
Bondegard.
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Fantastic, passes 5-0. And Mr. Bronegard had his first experience with the claims. How'd that go?
Well, pretty good. Lori taught me everything I needed to know, and maybe some stuff I didn't need to know. And that's good.
Well, that sounds fantastic. So, any motion to approve the claims for February?
All motion.
Bondegard,
I'll second.
Stroman second. Roll call.
Radcliffe.
Yes.
Bondegard.
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0 to approve the claims for February. Now, David has lots and lots of stuff to tell us.
I actually do not have lots. I did have the Elks building, but I think we're going to talk about that later. So I wanted to mention that our workforce housing application is almost ready to be submitted. We will probably send that in next week through Panhandle Area Development District, who is working with us on that. And I'm happy to say that we had at least 2 contractors sign on board with it, saying not only that they would give us letters of intent for granting purposes, but we're definitely interested in actually using those funds and using that program. They were very excited about it. And I think I might even get a 3rd one yet this week before we submit that. So that's good. And I also wanted to let you guys know, I went to Gehring last week. I got my week all there. I think it was last week. It was last week. And met with a whole bunch of other communities as part of WNED and Twin Cities Development. Gehring was there, Scottsbluff was there, Kimball was there. And we're trying to work together to pull our resources for housing. We think that it's a better idea that we all work together rather than everybody have their own kind of, well, this is my developer, I don't want to tell anybody about it, because, that's not our goal anymore. Our goal is to pull everything together and shoot for the pie in the sky. So that's our plan. We're working right now to pull everybody's entities' information together. I sent a whole bunch of information to Jordan Dietrich about every subdivision we have, what all it involves with them, what TIFs they have, what special assessments they have, how they could be utilized, what programs we have in place for TIF that you guys have passed, what other programs we have for workforce incentives. We think if we pull together a pamphlet for the whole Panhandle that includes everybody's areas that they have ready to develop and what they need and how they're at and what all is tied to them, we think we have a much better shot at going for something very large. And so that's kind of our plan, and I'll keep you more informed on that. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the workforce housing application. For a while I was nervous that we would get not have enough contractors sign on board with that, but that is a go. So, and then so is the cooperation between all the communities. We're cooperating on lots of things together anymore. We talk all the time. So no, this is good. I think it's good for the region, for us all to start working together and not taking a back seat anymore. And then I was going to give an update on LB 712, but I probably have better experts in the room to do that. Do you know anything new or no? Or are we still where we were when me and Annette left last time?
Senator Lowe is not going to make it his priority bill.
So that's not good.
And so I don't know, I mean, it's still going to go to the floor. We're just not sure if they're going to attach it to another bill to help it, carry more weight, or if it'll,
that's where we're at.
or if we're going to leave it on its own. So I don't think that decision's been made quite yet. I would assume that we would have some of those answers probably before the end of the week, though.
So we're at plan B and C now today. I got it, okay. Yep, that's exactly what we discussed, so thank you. I figured you might have more. I hadn't heard back from Lowe yet, so thank you. And that's what we have there. We're still fighting. We're not giving up. Nobody's giving up on this. That's all I have. Oh, other than I wanted to congratulate the high school sports teams, but I'll defer to Roger for that. I don't want to steal your thunder on that.
All right. Chief, what do you got to tell us?
Nothing.
All right. Lane, you get another second shot?
I gave you all the information I had.
I appreciate that. Marshall?
Nothing.
Joe? Casey?
I just wanted Roger's notes that Christy said I was doing a good job, so gold star in my mailbox tomorrow.
Objection. Objection.
That's awesome. Gold star, I'm writing that down. Jeff?
We are addressing the workforce shortage. We are planning or producing a regional virtual career fair that's going to go globally in September. We got a call from the hospital that they were 15 employees short. We got a call from Kimball. We got Clean Harbor calling us, asking if we could help supply with employees. So we're going to address this in a really big way.
Fantastic.
And the bill's being picked up by Colgate-Palmolive.
Oh, very nice. And that's in September we'll be looking for that.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Anything you want to tell us?
No, I'm good.
Well, since Mike Palmer isn't here and I can't ask him about streetlights, I want to know.
Oh, I was gonna ask
I want to
anyway.
know when the landfill trailer vacuum demonstration is going to be this spring.
Oh,
When we
yeah,
bought that
yeah.
big Fancy
Dean's not here,
vacuum on the
darn it.
trailer.
I will ask Dean when that
That'd be nice
demonstration.
to
Okay.
watch that thing work.
Heck
Either
yeah.
Interstate this spring, or a cleanup, or
Yep,
out at the dump along the fence, or
interstate exit.
at that guy across the road in his trees, or whatever. It'd be nice to see.
Yeah, that will be exciting.
I will ask him that for sure. That's a good
Small
idea.
cats and dogs.
Rabbits.
Yeah.
All right, Paul?
I have nothing this evening.
Haven't got any further on the energy credits yet?
I've been bugging them. Now I'm getting to where I've got math questions now. Now I'm trying to better understand.
He's went way beyond long division. It's getting complicated.
Yeah, now I'm completely in the weeds. So
If you're into algebra, then
yeah, no, I'm beyond that, man.
this is good news. We're going to figure it out, I have no doubt.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mr. Galloway?
Well, I was going to ask about the lights. I know we're waiting on lights in back order, but do we know how many we're waiting on?
Enough to go from, well, to finish out Illinois and Hickory for sure, because those,
How far in Illinois?
well, it's just those, I think there's like maybe 6 of them, 3 on each side between Illinois.
The
and
existing
Hickory.
ones?
What's that?
You mean just the existing ones?
No, those are the old ones there.
Right.
We have the new ones coming down at the end at Illinois because we didn't know what we were going to do
Yeah.
down there. We have enough to do that, and then also, I believe it's from 9th to 13th, where all the existing ones are.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So enough to go from 9th to 13th.
Yep.
And
It's a nice
hopefully,
little stretch right through the
and then
center.
hopefully we'll keep building on that.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think
Okay.
they're going to look great. I want to see what they look like.
Yeah.
Excited.
Well, obviously the ones on 10th Street, in front of the courthouse look great as you're coming down the street. It'd be nice to see the entire street and Illinois for that matter too.
It's going to give it a really nice
Yeah,
feel when you come through town to have those there.
it does.
Yeah.
I think expanding on that would be fantastic.
We have the flags, banners, you just.
Right, right. Congratulations to the track teams, or not track teams, I'm getting ahead of myself. The basketball teams. Both basketball teams competing in the state tournament here recently. Girls picking up a first round win, which was their first in the last 8 tries. So they were very happy to accomplish that. And both teams had tremendously successful seasons, so kudos to them. Now moving into track, which track practice has already started. Looking forward to that. A lot of good kids, and expect to see great things out of them as well. Glad to hear about the WNED work, working together with other communities. That's something I know myself and Brad had been to a couple years ago as that organization kind of got reorganized, and clearly I think there's a lot of benefits to be achieved through that when working together, so that's good to hear. And also good to hear is the fact that we are actually in a workforce shortage, as well as a housing shortage. I think sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle. A far cry from where we were 4 or 5 years ago. So we'll continue to address the good problems. And I would also say it's unfortunate that we no longer have the support of Governor Pillen. Is that 712?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I think he's missing the point. When he says the workforce housing is covered, yes, we knew that. But he's not taking into account all the additional strain on infrastructure, whether it's water infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, street infrastructure, and all the added stresses that get put on a community or communities, in this case, throughout the Panhandle. And whereas it's been the type of thing that has been done in the past for projects on the eastern part of the state, it's sad to see that they're not willing to support the western part of the state. Obviously, I think some lobbyists caught his ear and he quickly changed his tune, so that's unfortunate. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, I want to continue on that. I'm extremely disappointed to find out that, the 85,000 people that live in the Panhandle don't have the same voice as the rest of the state. And what Roger said is exactly right. It's all nice to say something nice to us about, hey, we'll get you guys with something, and then, just a few weeks later we find out that it's back to nothing. But to find out the federal government's going to do everything we need to know is awesome support right there.
Interesting to know that he is making guarantees for the federal government.
Yeah, I mean,
as the governor. Yeah.
States' rights and all. I guess tonight the theme was working together to get things done. I think it's fantastic. Not only did Kimball come to visit us and talk to us, actually stay for the whole meeting. People that live in Sydney come, and after their agenda the item's over, they leave. So, but it's nice, again, whether it's the WNED or working together with these programs and housing and stuff, just supporting each other is fantastic. Because again, all of us have to keep talking together to make our voices heard 343 miles away. So.
Housing, jobs, transportation, all of it, right?
Yep.
We get our voice heard more if we're all together.
Yeah. And that's what I stressed in one of my letters of support was, the state doesn't grow unless the entire state grows. Something that legislature will need to address at some point.
And I forgot to mention this first. Is the 4x1 relay time going to lower again this year?
I have it on good authority that they are on track and eager to not only beat their time last year, but probably break the school record.
That's what I heard. I'm
Yeah,
really looking forward.
that's the word on the street.
Yeah. Those handoffs better be crisp. All right. Well, I digress. So I think that's about all we got for this evening. Thank you for everybody. We got to let everybody out and then make a motion.
No, you've got to make the motion first.
Make the motion first. Anybody want to make a motion for this exciting closed session?
All motion.
For the purpose of
Purpose of it.
real estate negotiations.
Action items as deemed appropriate. And
Second.
Mr. Barnard made the motion and Burke seconded it. Roll call?
Bondegaard.
Yes.
Stroman.
Yes.
Galloway.
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Ratcliffe.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.